Holland I say, next 2 weeks in the election, general election or parliamentary election. I choose your president and as prime minister, any member of parliament. It's you go on the road, after I actually want to say after the foundation, my party wants to say we go on the road now amount for be to me. Sorry, not to about because about 20 day a very important. So to come and say now, can't come on, and so you free. And say this the moment that also which are what you do about one, which are what you need. As we choose party, opposite, Odidi, minor prime minister, any party I want to be said, only dear minor, double, and you wish for, and you know, feeling, you come. It's what they will say, Obiano, and say, we never letter now, 17th, when you send the card almost to be a Wawunya, voting card, a so called city council office, and that's all from now, purchase on some kind of card, voting card, now TV, a call, now put your card, put your card now. You were 12 on the 17th, general election is 17th. But the penny for national moment upon me starting from 15th, and 16th. It could be all there, to other cities, we are in the policy different. But the Hague had a day, the Hague and they were 2 years. General one is 17th, and penny for number 2 15th and 16th. But it could be all there, to say 15th, 16th, 17th. Obiye timi koto, 1% be bobo boso. Into obiye timi koto aba. The chair woman said the can say about to now maybe to say no. Because no any bad, a cost come up. So see me to aba no. Nay Obiya and I say what type party be here about the boy. Parties in the doors. Say last week kind of parties more ban 37 parties. It's a history, it's a record in Dutch election. 37 parties. Every corner be a party here, sorry, free from Holland to Tokyo. Different parties. I come up you animal parties for animal party who support animal party, animal party, party for the deer, party of animals or party for animals. And then see you Christian party over there, Muslims, African parties, different African parties, and I say black parties, and I say migrant parties. Be brave, sorry, a few say. The few they will be to make a song of trouble, many of them 2 man. Party be all over 2 man. Until then you know, you didn't come up a crack. Say you was here, you get free because say you will be. Want to me, I'm a hasi. Until they be friend. Then I say, Mr. Respondam, also a member of parliament, I will listen so from Christian Democrats Appel, Christian Democrats Party. You have friend on that, and then I drink come a crack. No, can be friend. Free which days ever in Yana, you have politician back party be more or we are building itself. Be welcome. Party Biano, duty and as all party, as a party member, no, we were listening as well. With me, I'm not afraid that you interview, no, that's always sending mail, so we're available. But I'm sure that is a common almost all the parties. So more value when you put back my interview on some Canada because yes, the platform and I say radio, liberty rebree, liberty power, Holland has it all over. Even a track record other countries, but this program we did it is special for the people in Holland, and that's it. I see what we can talk about your Dutch passport. Your 3 different elections of Kumasi, your parliamentary elections, your city council elections, and your European election. And it's how about cry. It's a district. Your district elections. So every time you know 4 elections, but this time around parliamentary elections in there is only for people who have Dutch passport. more Dutch passport quality to serve away. But who need Dutch passport na which be a TV no what to who be now mammy beer or trouble you say, oh, mama, now I say papa and I say uncle, yeah, to a banoma party we and a party because policies no the school semono any year any bibiano party we say no it doesn't matter say we need passport no which we so already background information of the parties no advice you for say okay until okwa to abanoma by you Christopher party and that's okwa to Muslim party that's okwa to more party the ninya on my 37 parties put me missing or two and then you may know you very quickly you very friend Mr. Fandam na you need to come kakra sani asa to aso you know
you arafo said Mr. Gambra kano so what your mind mu a na oman no de oman ni ye bia no na se wabetina oman ni wa integrate empempi ye to aba e wo oman mu a bia wuti ba bi beka se mimi de emfa me ho after all so long as I wotina oman mu ye Ghana fo e bi no ya ebi matena ha over 30 years 40 years 40 something years ache ye ba so aja se yen cry by nche bia ya kwa ni ma nisa enti wotina oman ni na se nyame e wadom na unya eye opportunity na se wa wotina oman ni naturalize e ba be ye oman ni mu nia everything e be ye oman ni mu no en ka se mfa wo e bi se e wo mu se originally no ya ngo wa ha se ni mu fi but unya baba be je oman ni nationality so your mind back there and e bibia omo ye no you have to be part of it. And then the to about in Ghana for near Titi baby. You find which na last time you work with a finance minister no on so a war election movie. On here Kazai no. I think it's a make point to be a now a power say. Yeah no your demands no so but you find one share politics ni. I say once and the grants open. Working grants now can if they need to event minim baby a wo poku rents ni dey nya bibia open mum yembie iba kasa prime minister Makriti kasa no one state clear he did not state it clear one year the grants cut over one can timer you be borders no it minim border okay I don't know where you are if they need to I don't know Netherlands okay Netherlands down can read because friend is saying Deutschland and friend is saying Belgium. I don't know which one you are talking about. But MBA grants bia is not neat. MBA I just a special we they no any to the ending come about election no in your wow it's about this election, it's not about the rest they no can matric na they are to hono enyambie ebia ube nwa mpacho. All right, enti you have friend Mr. Chris.
Yeah.
You are going to call Mr. Chris and he is part of the parties and actually it's not new when it comes to general election in the Ghanaian community. Good evening, Mohammed. All right, so I'm going to call Mr. Chris now, but Mr. Gambra, whilst I'm calling Mr. Chris, maybe you have something you add before Mr. Chris come online.
Right. Okay. I see for and then you may say you can kind of the apropos concerning the election. It's oh be a person who sa with me afraid. Oh be a person who sa with me afraid now I can't say. So new party parties na any idea parties on my background with me the amount and way has and I say would you require the first war you be chiwadrini concerning voting now and then deep into political parties policies but then a general issues concerning voting so we got to about date we got to about I didn't got to about what you got to about we are and that's what to coin, and I will be too coin. Send our you in your mouth. That's it. It's online.
Yeah. Okay.
Good enough and good evening, Mr. Van Dam.
Yes, good evening to you.
Good to have you.
Yes, it's an honor to be with you.
How are you doing?
Well, it's a busy time because we're all preparing for the election, so we have to go everywhere to explain what our views on society are. So I'm happy to be here on your program.
Okay, that's why we're also waiting for you to also come and tell us what you stand for and your parties and who you are and everything. Can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, of
Tell
course.
us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, my name is Chris van Dam, and I'm at this moment already a member of the Dutch Parliament, and I'm one of the candidates for the Christian Democratic Party. And well, most people know me from my chairmanship of the committee who investigated the child support thing last year.
Okay, that's you hold a very popular position recently, because the issue
Yes.
has been a top issue in the country, so you're very known these days.
Well,
Negative or
but
positive? Is it negative or
it's,
positive?
it's an issue that matters for a lot of people. I think also in your audience.
That's right. But what can you just use about a minute to summarize what was the issues exactly? What was it about?
Well, it was about taking your children to child support. That's a thing the Dutch government thinks very important, because if people can put their children in child support, then people can start working, and work is one of the most important ways of being able to support yourself and being able to develop yourself. So that's why it's very important in the Netherlands that as well the man as the woman has the opportunity to go to work, and that's why there are financial arrangements to be supported to get child support for your children, because someone has to look after them. And well, one way or the other, a lot of people were suspended that they took advantage of this financial arrangements, and once they had this mark behind their name in the systems of the tax authorities, it was always almost impossible to get rid of it. They couldn't defend themselves, because the judges also were quite harsh on whoever was supposed to be a criminal, although these people at the end of the day didn't turn out to be criminals. And the government was very harsh on them. The rules were very harsh on them. There was no possibility in the law to make an exception if there was a reason to do that. So the whole system was very unkind to people, and it especially hits people with low income, because if you have a low income, the financial support is much higher than when you have a high income. That's the logical thing in this arrangements. But if you have a high financial benefit from the government, when the government starts asking it back, this financial thing, it hits you more than other people. So in a way, it was also a very discriminatory arrangement, and that is very bad.
And now, is it a range, or is it the new government, the coming government to arrange that, or is it already arranged?
Well, the last government stepped down because of this whole thing. They gave their thing back to the chambers. You can say, well, that's not a big issue because they were going to stop anyway, because elections are near. But well, politically, it's a very big thing they did. And by now there are already a lot of plans to change these things, that they cannot happen again. It's a bit bigger than I tell you now, but well, I just make it short.
Yeah.
And nearly every party wants to change the system and wants to be more trustful towards citizens, because that's what's lying all under this.
Okay. I think during our interview we'll get to that point. But
Yes,
I'd like you to tell me, or tell the audience, what your party stands for, the Christian Democrats. What does it stand for?
Well, there are several Christian parties in the Netherlands. There are three active parties. You have the Christian Union. I think a lot of people also in your audience know this party and perhaps are a member of it. You have the SGP, that's the Staatkundig Gereformeerde Partij. That's a real, more or less Orthodox Protestant church party. And then you have the Christian Democratic Party, and that is the biggest of them, the biggest of the three. We have at this moment 19 people in parliament, and this party is is a fusion of three former parties, Protestant and Catholic parties. And we are also open for people of other religion because we, of course, are a Christian party, but we think that's our way of thinking. That our minds and our hearts should be open for everyone who thinks the same things are important to them as they are to us. But that's who we are.
Okay, that's fine. So it's a Christian social.
Yes.
Christian social. Okay. Concerning being a Christian party and we being Christians, we have churches in our community. What is your party thinking in the future to work closer? Do you have any policy for the churches?
For my party was being a member of the commission in the city of The Hague to make contact with migrant churches. That's why I know quite a lot of them from that time. And we know that the importance of the migrant churches in the Netherlands, because the old churches, the former Dutch churches, they are losing people, they are losing members. And on the other hand, we have this enormous amount of migrant churches. For instance, in The Hague, that time there were about 140 migrant churches. They are growing, as we say, it's growing like coal. What's coal in carrots?
Chapel.
Yeah, no, that's
Chapel.
coal. No. Then they're growing and growing
Chapel.
and growing.
Chapel.
Yes, well, they're growing, and so we perhaps a bit too late, but we start to realize how important these churches are, because they are important. They are important not only for your faith, but also for your social environment. You do a lot of things, especially the African community in their churches. Church is almost a second home. And that's what it should be. And we see in our society that being religious or religion starts to be something to be ashamed for. That's what a lot of parties want us to think. And that's the big issue in this case, that we have to change that. A lot of people, a lot of political parties say, well, your faith is something for at home, is something private, is something not for public space. And we as Christian Democrats think about it totally different, because how can you have something that is so important for you, your faith, how can you leave it at home? To me personally, that's impossible, and I think it's for a lot of people who listen to your radio is also impossible. So that's the big thing, and that's what we have to secure the coming time. And sometimes very practical. For instance, the destination of a religious building in the city. You know, all these old churches in the Netherlands, all these churches that are big and cold, and where the wind is doing their thing.
Yeah.
If such a church is sold by the former churches, it's not attractive or something hardly impossible to get such a church or such a location, or to start a migrant church, because they can sell it to someone who wants to make a flat with a lot of apartments. They can sell it for much more money than if they sell it to another church. And that's very sorry and very pitiful, because not only the place goes away, but also the official destination to have a church somewhere. And I know some migrant churches who have enormous problems in finding themselves a good space, because there's no public destination of being in a religious place. So that's the sort of thing I want to be working on the next 4 years.
Okay, so, but then, Mr. Van Dam, this issue has been there maybe since I was I was born, that
Oh,
the
yeah.
migrants has problem with churches, church buildings. So, but the last 4 years, what have your party done to this to solve this problem? Because you know, you and I know that there are some churches that you like the churches, and they are having problems with church building for so many years. What has your party done to these specific churches? I don't want to mention them, but you know that. You've even mentioned them last time on your program. So
Yes.
what are you and your party doing to help this church to find a permanent place? Church with a big number of people who wants a lot of activities, social activities, apart from church and praying and preaching. They have a lot of social activity plans, but they don't have space, a place to do all these activities. What are you doing about it? What are you planning to do about it?
Well, up to now, this has been more a local thing because local authorities decide whether a place can be have the destination of church, yes or no. And my party, the CDA in The Hague, has specifically done things about that, and not only about destiny of locations, but also having the possibility for churches to have, for instance, subsidies, financial support for certain social activities. There are cities in the Netherlands where the hockey club can get money to do something with children, but the church cannot because it's a religious thing. My party in The Hague, the former wethouder Karsten Klein, has arranged for that also churches can have this sort of support. But what I see is that it's too big a problem to solve it only locally. So this is what I want to do the coming 4 years in Parliament, to start initiatives on this, that once a place is a church, then it will stay a church, and perhaps on another location, but that the square meters that are, well, there is a church on that, they will stay and be there for other communities. That's what I want to do.
Okay, that's very fine. Then we move from the church to other, I understand you are from Justice, right? Justice Divine.
My home base.
Okay. There is a discrimination in Holland. Do you believe that?
Oh yeah, sure there is.
Many migrants feel that they are being discriminated. They are being sometimes bullied by police.
Mm-hmm.
What are your party and yourself, as a member of parliament, trying to make this situation more improved? That the relationship between the police and other law enforcement and the community could be balanced?
Well, first of all, the police has to be one way or the other a reflection of society. And for instance, in the city of The Hague, 52% of the inhabitants, their father or mother was born in another country.
That's right.
So if we have a police force that is not has not a certain amount of that kind of background, things go wrong.
That's right.
So what we are supporting very much is that the police, if they need new people, new personnel, and they need a lot the coming years, that they take an extra turn to get people from also your audience
Communities, yeah.
to be part of the police force. That's very important. The second thing is that we all accept or that we do not ignore the thing. Yes, there is discrimination. And I must say that in my party in the past, sometimes we didn't speak up and speak out. We said, well, isn't really so, perhaps it has to do with the people themselves. No, we now say there is discrimination, not only with the police, but on a lot of ways the government acts. And there is where it starts. Then, for instance, Mr. Wopke Hoekstra, he is also very keen on this issue because it takes away the solidarity within society if people, if not everyone has the feeling that he counts as just as much as the other. And what we are not very fond of is taking all kinds of measurements and rules. Perhaps we already have all kinds of rules that forbid discrimination. So new rules, we don't know if that works, but we have to how should you say it, execute these rules.
Okay. There are many rules that are not
It's incredible. So low amount of cases about discriminations are done by the police or by any other authority.
Yes.
There's something wrong with that. So we have to take care that if someone comes to the police and says, I'm discriminated, that he is taken seriously. That's very important. But I personally think that the most important step is that we see more, in your case, people with an African background in the police force. And I hope people will go and join the police.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Very good. Thank you. Now we are in a situation also in the Corona or COVID period. Many jobs have been closed, and still people at home. When can you tell us that this problem is going to be ended? When? The Corona.
Well, I understand the question completely, and my wife and my children ask the same question every day to me. But I don't know whether there's anyone who can answer this question. Perhaps people can do, but you should be very careful whether they are seriously about it, because I don't decide it, more or less the virus decides it. So it's very important that we all get vaccinated. I was very happy to hear this day that perhaps in July or something, that's faster than I hoped before, that we're all vaccinated, at least for the first time. That's very important. And the second thing is, there are businesses in pain, but there are also businesses who earn an enormous lot of money. For instance, the internet, bol.coms and that sort of things. But also the supermarkets, they earn a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
So I think there is some sort of solidarity there should be. That's what my Mr. Hoekstra presented this weekend. That it cannot be that one has no money and the other earns more.
Yeah.
There has to be some solidarity there.
To be balanced. Okay.
Yes.
My colleague here, Kofi, like to ask you a question.
Oh yes, please.
Okay, first of all, greetings, Mr. Chris.
Yes.
Okay. Since you work for the Justice Department, maybe you've worked there before, or you still
In the Parliament.
all right, in Parliament, maybe you part of the committee. I think maybe you know about what I'm going to.
Yeah.
This is about the pardon rate. You understand that a lot of people were granted based on maybe it was like something like a reward. Let me put it that way.
Pardon.
Yeah, the pardon rate. Actually, people asked for the asylum, they did not get it. Then afterwards, they were pardoned. So if like someone is pardoned, then it means that everything that they did not believe, he has been pardoned, like someone has been sentenced to prison and you have been forgiven. So my question is, why is it that most of them still have problem in applying for passport, since maybe someone asks for the asylum and the person cannot go back to his country of origin for the birth cert or something of that sort they ask, or it can be maybe because of the asylum, everything might not be correct. That is the reason why he was refused. He or she was refused. If that, I'm asking, since you work for Justice, because there have been a lot of people have written, I know, to the Justice Ministry and a whole lot. So since you work there, what will you do for such people who were pardoned and still have problem in acquiring the nationality? Because they say they have to go for their birth cert, and people
I know the situation.
Yeah.
I know the situation. And I have good news for you, because my colleague, Mrs. van Torenburg, who is on this migration issue in our party, she had this initiative, I think it was in the start of February, with Mr. Jasper van Dijk from the Socialistic Party.
Okay.
And they put in a motion that they, about 10,000 people in the Netherlands who were pardoned before and cannot get their passport from the country where they originally came from, that they can have the Dutch nationality, because that's, I think, the issue where you're talking about.
Yeah.
That and it's that's about that is what the government is going to do, because the second chamber in a majority voted for this motion. So it is. I know the point, and I'm very happy to say you that due to the initiative of my party, this is going to change.
Okay, that is good, because there are something.
Because I tell you this, we are harsh on immigration. We are quite strict on immigration. Not everyone can come to the country. It's simply too small for you. But if you are in need or in pain, you're looking for asylum, you should always be welcome, because that's, well, that's how our faith, that's how we see things. And the other thing is, once you are in the country, you must be able to do to participate. So it was really a wrong thing that people were pardoned, but they didn't get their Dutch nationality. You cannot be in a sort of twilight zone where you have the one, but you don't have the other. So I'm very happy that we could change this.
Okay, thanks a lot. So this is a promise to those who are willing to get it. They have tried all means. So
yes.
This is like
well,
a promise.
It always takes some time for
Okay.
the administration to arrange for, but this is what the second chamber voted about, not just a couple of weeks ago. So
Okay,
I think
To
it
take
will
time.
take some time to be executed.
no problem. All right.
That's
Mr.
good.
Gamba.
That's good news. Mr. Van Dam, then we move to education.
Yes.
Through this corona period, the kids, the students have been they have been a little bit slow, especially the migrant kids.
Yes.
I know Dutch children as well, the native Dutch children as well. Is there any policy, any plan to push this after stand? The way they've lost so many hours in school, is there any plan to support parents and the children to bring this level to normal? Because I understand it's not going well.
No, I know. My wife works on a basis school, and so I get first-hand information on this issue.
Okay.
And she doesn't work in a city or in a neighborhood where there are only white faces in her classroom. And I also have 3 children myself. 2 of them are studying, and they stay at home all the time. They do not go to their university or their high school or whatever. So I know the issue, I know the problem, and especially with children who have parents who are not so fluent in the Dutch language.
That's right.
It's very difficult to hold on the level you learn at school. So what we already have is that extra hours are given from school on a more or less individual level to get children back on the level they should be. But we just had a closure of schools for a very long time. We all had, and well, in this period, they also this individual teaching couldn't be performed because, well, you have to be at school to do it. So I'm to be honest, I'm very worried about this thing, and I don't know. I think nationally, and not only with children from migrant families, but there is a general problem in our school system at this moment because of this corona thing. And to be honest with you, we all see the problem and we do not have the answer yet.
Yeah.
But then if you don't have the answer, then we're in trouble. Because you are leading us, you are the parliamentarians, you are
Yes, I know,
you
but
come to the government and you are telling me that you don't have
no. We already took this measure of extra finance to support the children, but we did this before the second lockdown was ordered, and it's such a massive thing at every school at this moment. And to be honest, I'm not in the Department of Learning and things like that, so I don't know the details exactly, but sometimes it's also right as a politician to be honest with the people, to tell the truth, and not to make funny stories about things, because this is a general problem for all children in all schools.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just, I'm just acting because we believe that as a politician and someone who wants to lead us, then you need to have. I know the Minister of Education have pumped some money, a lot of money into education. A couple of weeks ago, he announced about more than 20 million or more. I forget the
Oh, I
amount.
think there has to be much more because
Yeah.
it's. But perhaps we have to decide, all of us, to double the year, and to say we all kids do the same year once again. I don't know, but we have to do something about it. But listen to me. We have every 2 weeks we discuss the matter. We have done enormous economic reforms to save companies and to save people's jobs. Well, you know all about the afterclock and all the riots and all the things. So there's an enormous task for the government to rule these corona crisis, but not everything is already answered. I'm very honest about that.
Yeah, I can understand that, and I know Christian Christian Democrats, you're too humble to tell quietly the story, which is very fine. We like that, but people still want to hear politicians giving them the answers, impossible
Yes,
answers you have to give.
yes, that's what I hear a lot of times in these election things, that people promise things and say things that I say, well, I wonder when you are going to do that, because you can't, and I'm not one of them.
Okay. So now we are getting close to the end of our discussion.
Yes.
Your party is number on the list,
Number 3.
number 3, and you are.
I'm number 47. I'm a bit of a strange guy because I maneuvered myself on the lowest place of the list, because I think I wasn't very happy with the number I got first, and now I want to do it on my own force, and I'm going to do that.
So you're on 47.
47, yes.
47.
And I need 20,000 votes, and then I'll be in Parliament again, and then I can work also on the issues we spoke today.
Yeah, but then you're already there. I think you're already there.
I hope
It's
so.
left with a few people like me who you have to convince more to get
It's
close.
always good. I like that, because these are the most people who stay with you the longest time.
Yeah, that's right. Mr. Van Dam, okay, in short, can you tell us why people have to vote for you and your party? Can you summarize it?
Well, first of all, people got to vote. I think that's one of the main things we have to arrange for, because my experience is that a lot of people, especially from migrant groups, they don't go out for the vote. They, one way or the other, don't feel connected or don't see the importance of it. And I think it's your group is too big not to be represented in Parliament. So go out and vote. Whoever you want to vote, go out to vote.
That's right.
The second thing is, I think my party, the Christian Democratic Party, is one of the few parties that have invested in the past years in relations with the African community in the Netherlands. For me, I've been in several churches, but I've also been on a steady level with Mr. Vincent Gambra at his initiatives for trade between Ghana and the Netherlands, which are very important, not only for Ghana, but also for Dutch entrepreneurs. And I think another reason is that the African community will find itself very comfortable to be in touch with a Christian political party. That's also very important, because we understand each other. Through all our differences, we understand each other.
That's right.
At the end of the day, there should be a day that people from your community take part in political active places within, for instance, my party. And if I look at the CDA in The Hague, the local party, we have one member, council member, who is originally from the Netherlands. We have one who is from Suriname and one who is from Turkey. So that's how we see our connection with all kinds of groups, and that's also how I see the connection with the African community in The Hague. So go out to vote, go out to parties, be active, represent your people. And at this moment, I think it's a very pity that we don't have someone from your community on our list, and I would be very happy to organize it this way, that in 4 years' time, I'll go off the list and someone from your community comes on the list.
Really. So that's good of you, but then don't they will join you. Some of the youth will join you, but you don't get out of the list. But then
Of course.
you are interested.
Oh, I'm joined. That's also good. But I think I know some people from your youth. They're very talented and very gifted, and they're very, well, eager. That's also a thing that helps. So let's do something. We had a class before, a couple of years ago, to teach some of your youth to be politically active, and it doesn't always directly work, but that's the way we should do it.
That's right. There are a lot of women also in our community. A lot of women. What's your party policy towards women? I think women.
I knew you were going to ask this question to me because it's logical. But I'm now sitting in my car on a parking place, and I knew you were calling. So I opened our program, our election program, and there are about two pages what we do for families. We are the family party, and for instance, we want child care, the thing we talked about before. Kinderbijslag, kinderopvang, but also the possibility to go on leave if you deliver a baby. Also for the father, more time off for things to do. That's what we all have as our things in our program. We are by far the most family loving party, and I think that's for women a very important thing.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, Mr. Van Dam, I'd like to thank you for your time,
Yes.
for joining us.
You're welcome.
Our program of the coming weeks is to also encourage many people as possible to go and vote.
Yes, that's
why,
important.
Yeah, we're calling everybody to go and vote, and
Yes.
we're very happy that you have made time to talk about CDA. CDA is also one of the biggest parties in the Netherlands, and we've been able to have you as a member of parliament to join us in this campaign that we are doing this 2 weeks. So we'd like to thank you so much, and we wish you all the best during the campaign. And I hope that people are going to vote for you to stay in the parliament and then do all the things that you have in heart and mind to do for the community and for the Netherlands. So
Yes.
we pray for you, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, and I hope we can find new ways to get this political interest and activity among your people to improve this. And I hope you will also speak a lot about politicians to give your audience a good chance to know who they should vote for.
Yes, thank you so much. And so,
Okay.
safe journey home, and have a nice
Yes.
evening.
Thank you very much.
We keep in
Thank you.
touch.
Bye-bye.
Bye, please.
Okay. Yeah, that was.
Okay, Chifo, we did the Musamba, sending Yan and Yakan. Mr. Van Dam Dinkomo from CDA party. He has a heart for the community, has a heart for the country. He's working hard in the parliament in general, and also his party and himself more good plans for the migrant community. Some of Kachekofi, Roman Yaji, and I said, no crack on so we try to go to book or say, only answer, or because only answer. It's then I see me say, to me, every my information or the mine, but it's your woman and say, oh, Hano, if you visit here, men two card literally, card na e dia bro no stamp pass no letter no menton twini keep ye na next time you buy we show in the free akasa me dey go can show say the card in it but I think say who feel no on your letter 5 letter to than half when they send you any problem just a voting card and keep on ye na never go to aba on the 17th won't you go to aba now so to kwanya fama obi sign she jodi sign signature or tree then man nipa no the opportunity man o passport copy now say ID card European ID card no and touch ID card no the copy never more be na nipa kono onfa enko ko to aba no emma you ko tese kwa tuma CDA and I say PPD and I say pay for the and I say Christian Union and I say Ubuntu party we saw Ubuntu so and I say parties no the omudos o 37 meet me more but next time we back the list in beba o parties ni nyina di na wo hu di ope ni di your day say Ubuntu na your day and I say CDA na your day and I say PPD and I say other parties na wo di your day na wo choose but ne say edin e de eni di oso and I say no more fe David the good policies o ma so o ma kutua the o ma kakra sika no sika o ma ni mu be do kakra wo do ba no ko kinda of farm say na sika no o mu tua o kinda of farm no sika ma say wo ye juma na wo boka o be ma o sika juma say juma e ba ya asese o ma o sika say education o mo education policy say o mama teacher for no kola na ko school extra school na say extra lesson and na say extra activities and kola na catch up o ten feel nyana na o trauma no eti wo asori na say o mo plan for o pese mo asori dan ya na o trauma no asori for basic social activities corporate organization na party ya o mo what's our policies no na o do eti no people no be brave I with me atwene ho a with me I decided say party na pese tomorrow but the important thing is say to aba go out there and vote or to aba na to say so no can decision making people no to aba is also deciding say I do we now you be you know so me decide to say count you know and I said the whole week couple of days you know you say participating democracy so take part in the democratic process across the Namia Daroma at the whole flat. It's you know the be CS for an annual rain and me Juma via Saturday and Sunday, you know, the Sabbath you. It's in a better mercy.
Ew, Mr. Gambra, and as a former Mutie live Ghana today, tuning and our face so live on Facebook, YouTube, and so a now. Yeah, you know, what call baby, I'm able to have it to me. I will be our we are who send it a Instagram say, which me the number to that. I think it's a bit to me.
Number of which me fresh up more information. Oh, sir, discussion here and the election in one. Put me a 06 21 90 6 75 33. Mr. Timobio 06 21 967533. So also key information and that's what we do private question here or private question we also busa with the person number we see of number we are we not for which make it sure no one did it you know
okay you for be part of it once utie Mr. Chris and I will be brave omo ye fan of academy no say me nuanom da for the bebre boom any ade ntino I think say ehu hia ye otu oman ni ma de so long as it ade bia me can say ye mu ya ye tim ye nko ye what as ye mu bebre ba no na ye ni ma wa enne e bia wa ba wo ma wa bia 20 years we credit 30 years so when I buy no for bi ba no so bia be twem kwala bi family na na ye bo ha no ntino so wo ha you be so bi na nka say to aba wo tu ti asem a ye ka say dem zakre so ka ye no na fa wo ho edwo ho e betumi abo wo so I say very important say what should fencing facilities especially be? Okay, Philippa Ando Asamoah. I think say a question, no, Mr. Gambra, we are over here. I say what about the pension facility, especially we live in house? Okay, I know they mean to me and but we are Mr. Gambra, but next week or why? Why? Oh, out of four, yeah, the ABC ano, Nami Sham, Nami Adwan Soroka, Saturday and Opa, at exactly very 9 more, Dumedi Sunday Swanopa, and we are very time day.
One.
Or you are one. All right. Into Musha Nisu, Musha times Nisu, Nami Sham, Maba.